Hi, my name is Laura and I recently attempted a thru hike of the Foothills Trail in South Carolina. The point of the attempted thru hike was to shake out my gear, shake out my legs a little bit for my attempt at thru hiking the Appalachian Trail in 2023. And boy, did that trail really shake out my gear. It did. If you've been following along this month of December, then you definitely have seen that, you know, the trail really tested my gear out for me. It really tested my mental capacity and my physical capacity. So definitely stay tuned to hear all the things that I learned on my shakedown hike, as well as things that went well, things that didn't work well, things that I need to change before I go out on the Appalachian Trail next year. So let's start off with the things that I learned out on trail, kind of things that didn't really go quite according to plan. The very first thing that I learned is that when you are going out to do a hike, you need to do some research and some planning. And that seems like something, you know, like that I'd be pretty good at as a teacher, that I would think to do. And I did do a little research. If you guys watch my prepping for the Foothills Trail, you guys know I made a plan for my camping each night. I made my plan for food each night, but I didn't really do much more research than that. So, you know, I planned out my mileage for each day, and I planned out some pretty big mileage there in the middle. I mean, all the mileage days were pretty big except for the first day that I was getting there, but I was also driving that day. But what I learned once I got out there is that to not just look at mileage between campsites, to also look at elevation. And yes, like you would think that like, okay, you're hiking in mountains. I should think, okay, maybe I can't do 16 miles because I have some huge elevation changes. Maybe I should knock it back down to 12, 8, 10, somewhere around in that range, since I'm going to be going over some pretty serious mountains that day. I didn't look at elevation before leaving for trail. I didn't look at those things stupidly. Like, why did I not think to look at those things? And it cost me, man. If you guys saw me on day 2, at the end of the video, I was in some serious pain with my shoulders, and we'll talk about that later. I was in some serious pain with my ankles because I kept twisting my ankles. Like, this trail, like, no joke, like the leaves were covering like all the roots. You know, I was twisting my ankle left and right. And had I done a little bit less mileage, I think I would have been in a little less pain. And that all comes from planning. You know, I didn't research enough about the trail and the elevation, and just, you know, I needed to plan it out more, and I didn't. So that's one thing that I learned, to look at elevation and not just mileage. Another thing that I learned, and this is, you know, specifically for the Foothills Trail, but it could be applied to other trails. I learned that, you know, to always give yourself an extra day when you're planning for like parking wise. The Foothills Trail, you have to pay to park your car at either Table Rock State Park or Oconee State Park. I parked my car at Table Rock State Park, so you pay $6 a day. And I just planned out my 6 days that I had planned to hike, and I paid for that. Had I given myself an extra day or two, I think I would have been a little bit more inclined to stay out there. And we'll talk about a little bit why I got off trail too in a moment. But I think I would have had one less reason to like, okay, I should get off trail. I think I planned too much mileage over too much elevation. And had I given myself like an extra day or two in there, I could have, you know, slowed down a bit. So one thing to know, and my shuttle driver told me this, you know, after I had already registered, is you can pay for parking for however long you want, and then when you get off trail, if you don't use those extra days, like let's say I paid for 7 days and I only used 5 days, you can go back to the state park and get your money back for those days. Like, you can get refunded for the days you don't use. So that's just something to keep in mind, especially if you are doing the Foothills Trail. Budget out extra days in parking. Another thing I learned, and this popped up on day 1 day 1 of me being out there, is to double check your gear list before leaving for trail. I spent meticulous hours putting all my gear into lighterpacks.com. Every single piece, how much it weighed, I put in links. If you want to check that out, it's in the description. But I didn't check that when I was packing. Why would I not check that when I was packing? Probably because I procrastinated packing. I didn't remember all my gear, and it was just a few minor things that I had forgotten. Like, I forgot my spork, so it made eating a little bit more challenging. I forgot some headphones, so I couldn't really like listen to music, or I couldn't, you know, like watch a TV show at night just to like take my mind off of the fact that I was so freezing. So it was just like little minor things like that that I forgot, but it made my life a little bit more inconvenient out on trail. So that's something that I learned, that definitely before the AT, I need to go through and make sure I have every single piece of gear that I had listed out on lighterpacks.com. I mean, I made that list, so I might as well use it, right? Okay, so let's talk gear. I'm gonna make a whole video next week about all the gear that I'm swapping out and kind of like updated gear and whatnot, but I did want to talk about a few things here that really stood out to me that I wanted to mention that kind of drew me to get off trail. So there were 3 kind of major things and one other thing that kind of caused a minor inconvenience. But so let's just say 4 big things with gear. The first thing with gear, and this is probably the biggest reason why I got off trail, was my sleep clothes. On night 2, I stayed at Bureau Ford's campsite. It was absolutely freezing. Now granted, it was in the 20s. It was the coldest night that I was supposed to spend out there. I didn't know this at the time because the weather had changed. You know, I thought it was going to be that cold all week. But anywho, so it was in the 20s. I could not fall asleep that night. I was freezing. I was shivering the whole night. I was even using my hot hands. I had all my layers on, minus like I didn't have like my hiking clothes on because I didn't want to wear those because they were sweaty. I didn't throw on my rain clothes either. That's another thing that I like thought about after the fact. When I was driving home, I was like, oh, I could have put on my rain suit over to keep a little bit more warmth in, but didn't think about that. But I had all my layers on. I had my mid layer, my puffy coat, my actual sleep clothes. I had my socks on, my sleeping bag. Like at the bottom there's like a drawstring. I have a quilt, so there's a drawstring to where you can like close in the toe box. I had that fully closed in, like everything. The only thing I didn't have for my sleep system that I should have had is I should have brought the straps, so you can strap it down to your quilt. That's definitely something I'm adding in, and we'll talk about that next week. But I was absolutely freezing, and I realized that fleece lined clothes are not good in the 20s. It was so cold. I was just like frozen. I woke up that morning, there was frost on my tent. The zipper was a little bit stuck. I had to, you know, like warm it up with some hot hands. It was absolutely miserable that night. And I thought about it for the rest of that day. When I was hiking, I continued to hike. That would have been my 3rd day hiking. And I thought about it. The more and more I got closer to camp that night, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna just freeze again tonight. Like, and so like that was one of the things where I was like, ooh, maybe it's not the best if I stay out here with this sleep system. Like these sleep clothes are not, they're not it, sis. Like they were not working out for me. The other big draw that got me to really decide, you know, maybe I should get off trail was my shoulder pain. And you know, I've been off trail, what is today, the 25th ish of November? I think the 25th of November. I've been off trail for like 4 days, and I still, like right here on my collarbones, I'm still like in pain when I touch it. I can still feel like it's like bruised. I have pretty prominent collarbones. Like you can see them, like they're pretty out there. Like I don't have a lot of meat covering them. For some reason, like my pack was just destroying my collarbones. Like I was going so slow on the trail, and I attribute, yes, okay, I was going over mountains. I was going over huge elevation changes, but I had to keep stopping because I needed to take packs off break. Like I had to, like every, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, I was taking off my pack for a couple minutes, setting it on the ground and just like stretching out my shoulders, moving them and trying to like get that pain to go away. So I realized that maybe my backpack shoulder pads were not good enough for me. So when I was in the hotel after I got off trail, I already ordered shoulder pads that just like kind of strap onto your shoulder straps on your backpack from Z-Packs. That was like the first thing I ordered. I got in the hotel and ordered them that night. So that's something I'm definitely adding on, and I'm gonna test that out full pack. I'm gonna go out for some hikes and see if that works and if that is better. And if it's still not better, I'm gonna have to order a new pack, unfortunately, because I just can't imagine 6 months of that pain on my shoulders. The other two things were kind of more minor inconveniences, just kind of annoyances. So one of the things was my Sawyer water filter. Now this is something, again, I should have checked before trail, but my Sawyer filter, I hadn't used in probably over a year. And so when I first went to go use it, there was barely like a trickle coming out. And I remember watching someone's video, I think it was Taylor, New Hampshire hiker. She had talked about not using her Sawyer for a while, and it took her a minute of squeezing the water to get it to come out. And so I was like, oh, maybe it's just that, you know? And so I kept squeezing, and, you know, it got a little bit better, but it was taking, you know, 20, 25, 30 minutes to filter just a liter of water, because I had to keep squeezing and going, getting more water. Like if I didn't have enough water in the bottle, it wasn't gonna like pressure all the way down and filter into the second bottle. So, you know, it was taking me so long to get through, and my air conditioning's coming on. I'm sorry, it's gonna be a little louder. It was taking me so long to filter water that like I was barely filtering water, which means I was barely drinking water. So that's definitely something that like, it was a minor inconvenience, but like really like you need water to survive. So that was another thing where I'm like, dang, like my water filter's not working now. So like I have these huge mild days and I'm gonna have to stop for 20 to 30 minutes each time I need to filter water just to get a liter of water, not even 2 liters of water. So, you know, I realized that's something else I need to replace before trails. So, and then the other thing with gear that I realized, which this one is definitely a minor inconvenience and didn't really, you know, like cause me to be like, I need to get off trail for this issue, but it was my bandana. I wore an orange bandana because I was hiking in the south in the fall. I didn't know if it was hunting season or not, so I figured, you know what, I should just wear something with orange just in case. So I got this bandana like last minute and threw it on my pack for you know, sweat or for like nose issues, whatever. That bandana tore up my nose again 4 days later, and my nose is still peeling. Like, granted, I was blowing my nose a million times, so that would probably happen with whatever I use. Even if it was just like tissues, it would probably happen, but it tore up my nose. So another lesson that I learned was that I brought out a lot of kind of unnecessary gear, stuff that I didn't necessarily use. And for my shoulder pain, I realized that I really need to lighten my backpack, lighten my load. Whatever amount that I can, I need to just pull grams here, pull grams there, whatever I can do to lighten my pack, I need to do, because my shoulders were like, this is not it, sis. We need this off our back. I'm gonna kind of do some research. I'm gonna play around with some things this month of December. So you guys are gonna be seeing this after I've done the research, but you know, I might not have figured it out by the time you guys see this video, so definitely let me know. But I definitely need to find some lighter options for things like that. Camp shoes, I don't know, whatever I can just pull here and there to make it lighter, I need to do. So those were kind of the major things that I learned, like kind of mistakes that I've learned from, and I'm gonna do better next time. So let's talk about the things that actually went well and things that I like kind of confirmed for myself that, okay, I can do this, you know, I can do the AT. So first off, most of my gear really did work out for me. Most of it worked out really well. Like my tent worked out really well. My sleeping pad worked out really well once I figured out the valve system. If you guys saw my day 1 of Foothills Trail, you guys know that my sleeping pad deflated a lot. Actually, I think I talked about that in day 2. But anywho, it kept deflating that night 1, and so I realized I wasn't closing the valve all the way. It worked well once I figured that out. It was very comfortable. I enjoyed it. I slept well for a sleeping pad. I didn't sleep well because of the cold, but for as far as sleeping pad goes, it was comfortable. I liked having my Mountain Laurel Designs 1/8 inch foam pad underneath because my sleeping pad wasn't slipping and sliding all night, so I'm definitely gonna keep that. One other thing that I was testing out was having a short sleeve shirt for hiking versus having a long sleeve shirt. So I really liked that option because I was getting like quite warm when I was hiking like up mountains and through the elevation changes. And so I did like having the option to be able to take off my mid layer and have a short sleeve shirt on. So definitely confirmed for me that I'm not gonna bring a long sleeve hiking shirt. I'm just gonna stick with my short sleeve shirt and then the mid layer if I need, like if I'm cold and I need to put something on over. I double tried out my shoes. You know, I've been hiking in my Ultra Lone Peaks for quite a while now, but it's always been in Florida regions, you know, where it's not mountainous. And so, you know, confirming that it worked well in the mountains. I liked them, they were comfortable for me. So I'm gonna start off with the Ultras on the AT for sure. Another thing I kind of confirmed for myself is that I mentally and physically can like push through these big miles. Like I was concerned that I would not be able to make it 12 miles that first day. And if you guys saw, or that second day, if you guys saw my day 2 video, you guys know at the end of the video, I was like crying. And I think I was just so happy because I was like in a lot of pain with my shoulders, but like my feet wise, my leg wise, like other than like twisting my ankle, you know, I felt good. Like my feet were not hurting, my legs were not hurting. Like I think like I physically, knock on wood, knock on my brain, knock on everything, knock on the camera. I think I physically can do it. It's just a matter of like making sure my shoulders don't hurt. But so like that was a good thing for me to like be like, okay, wow, like yeah, I can do this. I can push out these big miles now. I'm still planning on easing into the trail. I still want to start off with single digit days for the first couple weeks, maybe move into like 10-12 mile days after the first couple weeks, and then slowly increase because I don't want to get an overuse injury or anything like that. But it was nice to kind of confirm for myself that like, yes, I can like push myself mentally, I can push myself physically, and I can do it. So like that was a nice like kind of thing to kind of confirm with myself that, you know, I think I can do this AT thing. And then the last thing that I really learned here from hiking on the Foothills Trail is that, man, that trail is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. If you ever get the chance to go out and hike it, like hike it. And I only saw like the first 30 miles of it. I still haven't even gone out and finished the rest. So I do have a plan. I would like to go out and finish it before the AT. If not before the AT, I would like to do it after the AT, finish out the rest of, I think I have like 45 to 50 miles left. I didn't do the exact math here for you guys, but I would like to go out and finish the rest because I saw the like not best parts. I didn't even get to go over Sassafras Mountain, which is the high point in South Carolina, which I definitely want to do that at some point in time in my life. So, you know, might as well do it while I'm on the Foothills Trail. So I didn't even get to see that part. I didn't get to see Table Rock. Well, I did see Table Rock when driving through, you know, the parking lot, but I didn't get to see it from a mountain view. So I definitely confirmed for myself that I want to go out and finish the rest of that trail at some point in time, whether it be before the AT or after the AT. Absolutely gorgeous trail. Definitely got to check it out. 1000% gonna finish that trail at some point in time. So those are the things that I learned, mistakes that I made, things that went well for me on the Foothills Trail. There were a lot more things that I could go into detail about, but you know, for time's sake, we're gonna kind of end it here. Next week, like I did mention, I am going to be doing a updated kind of gear list, things that I've swapped out, things that I'm changing out, so you guys kind of get a idea of what I'm bringing with me now that I've done a shakeout. So definitely subscribe for that so you don't miss it. If you guys have any tips for cold weather gear, if you guys have any things that you think I should check out as far as like lightening my backpack, definitely let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you did, and I will see you all next week with my updated gear video. Bye.